being one of our speaker for this session, and we are very excited to have you on board for today's session. For those subscribers who are very new to this YouTube channel, a Crazy Geek is a place where to bridge the gap between what you study in your college or school and what you actually apply at work. But please bear in mind, it's focusing on small and medium-sized enterprises. So today we have Mr. James, who is doing phenomenal job for students and everyone out there. So he also has his own YouTube channel. So yeah, Mr. James, you want to talk about it first, a little bit about you, then we can go for the session.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Lavanya, as well, for having me on. My name is James. As Lavanya's kindly introduced, I do have my own YouTube channel where I just post my knowledge about ACCA and accounting. It's all out there for free. I'm sure we can put it in the description of the video down below. But would you like me to talk through where I currently work, Lavanya, or a bit of a background?
A little bit about our background, which means what did you do when you were in college and then graduation, and then now at the moment, what are you doing? Yeah,
that's sweet. Yes, okay. I mean, the first thing is I was all right at maths at school. I mean, lots of people assume because I'm a qualified accountant that I'm really good at maths. But I was okay, and then I got better and progressed. So for anyone who's watching this and going, oh, you have to be really good at maths to be an accountant, well, you do progress as you go through, and you learn from your mistakes. But I wasn't particularly one of the top students or anything when I was at school or anything on those lines. So nothing really fancy there. I went to university where I studied accounting and finance. I got a first class honours, which was very nice. And then I did a summer internship out in the USA, which again was a brilliant experience working as an accounts assistant. Then I came back to the UK and got onto an ACCA study contract at a small firm. So I worked and studied. So I've done weekend studying, evening studying, morning studying, just all of it as well. So yes, if anyone's got that, hence what I talk about on my channel, because I know how difficult it is. Which after that, I'll be honest with you, Lavanya, I had all my notes, they're in the bags and everything from all my studying, and I used to carry them from when I moved house. And I thought to myself, oh, I'll record it and I'll put it out there, or find some way of using it. It's going to help some people. And I just carried on. And then I started working at the University of Lincoln as one of the lecturers in accounting and finance. Where all these notes are helping my students. This is very good. And then since COVID-19, it just got to the point where we were all in lockdown. I was at home, I was looking at these notes, I went, I think it's time to now record. So now at the moment, lecturer at the University of Lincoln, I say YouTuber, but I just think it's really good fun. It helps people out. And then I help other people set up their own businesses and do some private tutoring as well, if anyone needs some extra help.
That's phenomenal, James. That's phenomenal. Okay, so today's session, it's going to be a very short sharing from you in terms of this topic called bridging the gap. So I have few questions to ask you. Just feel free to answer based on your experience and what will benefit the audience itself. So my very first question, in your opinion, do you think there is a gap between what you studied in your college or university and what you actually applied when you were at work?
Oh, that's a really good question to get us started off. I mean, every accountant faces this because you're stepping out of your comfort zone as to you've been in the school system, you go through the textbooks, you're learning those core foundations, the principles, and then it's the application to the workplace. So you do see the actual standards and the actual, say, pro formas and what you've been working out from your studies, they do get applied, but then there's nothing that can replace that. Maybe you're sat down in a boardroom with a client who's turns over £1 million a year. It's just that just isn't feasible from the book on there. So there are lots of real world experiences that you get. So you just got to put yourself out there, even if it's just maybe you're 16 to 18, 16 to 21. Just go and get a couple of days experience at a small firm, reach out to them and show some intent to say, I really want to come work for you because, and these are the skills that I can add value to you. And hey, it might work out, it might not, but it's just gauging and understanding what area, what field you want to go into. So yes, there are some areas that you go, I learned single entities within financial reporting. and I applied that in my job. Lovely stuff. But then there are other things where you have to use your professional judgment, and then you have your senior colleagues and you find mentors as well. So it's a sort of yes and no on it, I would say.
Okay, so I think it leads to my second question too. So when there is a gap, right? So what would be your advice or your suggestion to the students or fresh graduate on bridging the gap? What should they do?
So no matter what age you are, just getting some experience of whatever role it may be. So you start to actually understand whether that's people skills or money or how a business operates or how accounting works in the world. Okay, so I used to do a paper round when I was 14, 13, or whatever it was, and you earned a few pounds every week, but you understand the principle of money and how hard you have to work for it.
Yes.
So that if you meet someone who is earning £100,000 a year or £1 million a year, then you understand from their perspective how hard they have to work to go through it, and then you're developing those people skills that no matter what role you've worked in. I mean, I've worked, as I said, I've done paper rounds, I've sold items, I've worked on as a fishmonger at one point, selling fish to customers. I've worked in offices. It's just the various levels of experience that you get, even if it's voluntary. I used to do some of the accounts and help out to reconcile balances for village halls and charities. It's just all experience that it's just a little nugget that to say, oh, I learnt that from this. But if you just sit there and you go, oh, I haven't got any experience of, well, that is what employers are going to be looking for. That when you go to the interview, they're going to say, James, what experience have you got? Well, why have you not actually gone out and gone to go get some experience?
Okay, thank you so much for that answer, James. So we'll go for my third question, which is, what is the day-to-day job scope for an accountant if this particular student wants to become an accountant in the future?
Well, they first of all need to sort of decide which sort of area they want to go into, because it's not just, hello, off you go to work, you're an accountant sort of thing. You've got everything from, usually it's broken down into three areas you see when you first start out. So you've got management accounting, financial management, and financial accounting on there. So they're the three sort of areas. But then when you're going for maybe a leaving school role, a graduate role, or just some employment, it could be anything from audit, taxation, financial reporting, compliance, ethics. So it all depends on what sort of area and role you want to go into. So the best thing is to just go away, ask and do as much research into what areas, and then work out which one you actually enjoy. That's it. I mean, I was always a fan of financial accounting going through it, but then as I progressed through my career, I really liked financial management and the psychology of how people utilize and go about their lives and money as well. So that I think it's fascinating, some of the stuff on there, but if I was going to research in the future, that'd be really good for it.
Okay, that's very nice. So it's basically to go and do more research in terms of the scopes that we have in accounting field, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is, how do we be creative at work or job when our job is very mundane and very monotonous?
Well, the first thing is being showing initiative. That when you are at work, and yes, I've done monotonous jobs where you might be doing bank reconciliations or tallying up receipts or whatever in the old days, and we go, oh my word, what a day this is. But then you have to put yourself out there to your superiors, your managers, directors, whoever it is, and say, look, I've been at the business now for, it could just be a week or two, it could be a year, whatever position you're in, but come up with some ideas and show some actual ambition to say, oh, I really want to go out and see the clients more. Or in my case, when I was working at the small firm I used to work at, I said, oh, we need to improve the website. I would recommend this, and they put me in charge of updating a whole website. I have no experience of websites or anything on those lines, but I have ideas and I know what customers would actually want and where it can add value. And then that's where it brought in the social media aspects as well. So you're an accountant who then does social media, who then designs websites, who then sees clients as well. So that's right. But it was all initiative. You've got to put yourself out there.
Okay, thank you so much, James. My next question is, what are your views for our current education system, and what are the few measures you are taking for the betterment of education itself?
Well, the current system is going to be different wherever you are around the world, but there are certain skills that you need to just home in on and get better, and there are some skills that you just have to sort of progress in it being a stepping stone to the next platform in your career. So everyone needs basic maths and English skills so that if they want to go to college, university, and these are transferable to the workplace. But other skills which you can't sort of teach as easily from a textbook is everything from communication to potential manners, how you actually come across. Are you a sort of warm, inviting person? Because one of the best bits of advice I ever got was you only get one chance to make a first impression. And then that person, whoever it may be, wherever you may be around the world, at what time goes, that's James and that's what he does. And he was maybe quite smiley that day, or he likes running and all this sort of stuff. So little things like that go such a long way. And even just manners as well, which anyone watching this, like emails and messages, requesting things and can you do this for me, James? And the amount of people that don't even just say please or thank you very much for your time or anything on those lines, I really appreciate it. I just go, if I was an employer and you did that, not a chance. That was it. So little things like that go a long, long way, in my opinion.
So this is something that you have been practicing so far. So that's why you are able to see it in a very clear picture. And I think that's one thing I'm also slowly applying it, the little things that you were mentioning. Thank you, James. So
Lavanya, the one thing on there is show empathy. Try to think what the other person is going to be receiving from how you're engaging with them. That's one of the best advice I can give to you on there. Just imagine how what I'm going to say to them is going to come across, and what's my body actions and how my facial recognition is on it as well. So little things like that. Well, you start to think about the other person, and then you'll improve from it.
Yeah, true. But like now, right, James, mostly we are communicating through online, which means text messages and everything like that. It's no more like a face-to-face, especially when pandemic hits. And so it's like not going physically to work kind of thing. Mostly it's through texts, WhatsApp messages. I think even like now, I can still remember like when I'm communicating with the colleagues that where I want this particular document or this kind of things, or even client, right? So we use the text messages. Sometimes it's like it's a kind of rude when you say just like can you please give me this? But it's just that you wanted to get it done faster. So you kind of like, you forget to put the please, or kind of like, do you have the free time to do, you won't use that kind of words. I think that's what you're mentioning, correct? That's what you are actually trying to tell. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Imagine the other person receiving that text. That's it. It may take a bit longer, but you'll actually get to the result that you're looking for quicker, more effectively. And then at the end of the transaction or whatever you've got to get done, they'll go, oh, I quite enjoyed working with so-and-so.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, if they ask me a favour in the future, will I put myself out there for them? Think of it like that.
Yeah, thank you. My very last question, James, before we end today's session, share with us your one mistake that you made when you were a student, which the adult you now would want to change.
Very good question. There are quite a few, so I could just roll them off for you, Lavanya, if you want. The first one, just as an overall factor, is look after yourself. That is the main thing. So when I was studying, it can take over your life. I'll be honest with you, where you're working full time, then you've got to study in the evenings, and you'll be studying weekends, and even just factoring in exercise and eating healthy and drinking loads of water and sleeping correctly. All these little things just add up to actual better exam performance versus what I happen to do, and I hear it all the time, and that's why students contact me. It's a case of that they'll work into the late hours, they won't exercise. I put on loads of weight. I was about 3 stone heavier, I think it was ridiculous. It was so bad. So I really advocate for that, even if it's like 10-15 minutes going for a little walk for breaks, and healthier snacks, because we can all fall into the trap of just wanting to eat complete rubbish. I know, and eating on snacks and crisps and sandwiches, whatever. So look after yourself, better sleep as well, and then you'll actually have enhanced performance in your studying. You'll be more effective on it, I would say. That would definitely for me.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's something that all of us in our profession, especially in accounting field, because we actually put a lot of hours in the work itself. It can go more than 8 hours. It can sometimes go to 12 hours kind of thing, especially if it's a peak period. So taking care of yourself is the very important thing. Yeah. Okay, so that's the questions that I have for today's session. So, James, do you have any final words you want to share with the students or the fresh graduates or the employees that are working currently in this field?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the things that I'm developing is always just trying to challenge myself to do and try different things. But when I was a student and when I look back at it now, I really wish I'd have read a lot more around the subject area. So there are loads of things online, such as TED Talks that are all free online. I try to watch one of those a day, and it just gives you different ideas and develops your mindsets as well. So that would be my first thing. And then that links on to just reading more books. Now, I'm not the biggest reader, so I have audiobooks. And then if I got a hard copy one, I might do 10 pages here and there. But that's another thing I'd highly advocate for, because think of it like this, Lavanya, there's someone who has researched, say, sleep. So Matthew Walker, who I'm currently reading about his book on sleep, he's got 30 years of experience in saying why it's good and how it can help you and how it can enhance your career. And he's put it all into a book for you. That I'm reading it through now and I just go, oh my word, this is ridiculous. It's gold on here. And it just changes your habits and your disciplines throughout the day. And then you become more of a high-performing person, that you take a step back and go, every minute of every day, you have control over what you do with it. And that can be what can help you out into the future. So the final thing before we finish, you say, is what things am I doing today would the person in the future want me to be doing, who I want to become? So think about what you want to become in the future, and are you doing those things today? And if the answer is no, we know where to change. So complete game changer.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great advice, James. So, very last one, how do we contact you, Mr. James, if someone is interested to get engaged with you and things like that? So, your social media presence kind of thing. Yeah,
sure. So you can find me on YouTube or Instagram. All you've got to do is just put in James Wright ACCA. You can find me on there. You can just request a video, or TikTok's another one I've started doing. I just answer people's questions. That's it. So you just try and help people out as what would I want to have known at 18? You know, and there were many things I didn't know at 18 that I now know at 29. So yeah, it's a case of that's basically what it's based on. Where if you've got a question, I will answer it, and I'll give you my honest opinion for it. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. James. I think I had a wonderful time having this session with you. I hope this will reach to many, many students, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.